Hey, it's Vanessa Valjean, and I have just watched one of my favourite YouTubers, I Understood, and I am heavily convicted to do what I've been avoiding for a few weeks now. I said that when I'd move into my new place, I would finally pour out my heart with regards to the details of what I've been going through. As many of you would have just seen hints in my content, the emotions that I feel without specifically going into detail. And gosh, I am supposed to come out here and say it all to you, and I'm just following my conviction, but I didn't plan anything per se. But I've just realized that my holding back is also holding back my healing. I think I still feel a sense of loyalty, a sense of hope when it comes to reconnecting with my family members and those who I have very dysfunctional relationships with. I feel like that is kind of contributed to my resistance when it comes to actually speaking about things. I think having moved into a new season of my life where it's no longer a shit show like it was last year and the year before, I want to protect this kind of image of stability. And whilst that is the case in many respects, I do feel grounded within myself, what I'm doing. I also feel this immense, incredible loneliness. Like I've almost grown up too fast and faster than those around me, in the sense that I have picked a chance of boldness. Chance? Gosh, words aren't even coming out properly. I've picked the choice of boldness. And yeah, it's just emotional because boldness means you do something out the norm. It's loud. The opposite of boldness is kind of timidity, being shy, walking on eggshells, and I feel like I've very much done that for a while. Yes, I've always had this bold and free spirit about me, but I was continually betraying myself when it came to my family, my household culture, my belief system. I didn't give myself room to honour my needs at all. What I needed to feel safe, what I needed to feel seen, what I needed to feel heard. And I guess going to university, everything came up, though that's a huge simplification because I've always been quite vigilant. Yeah, I think it came to the surface that my family situation was very toxic. I look back at my Snapchats and I'm like, okay, I've had this revelation for a while, but I think my willingness to deal with it increased rapidly because I saw the need for me to stop living a double life and to kind of integrate my reserve side with kind of integrity. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, I didn't want to be fake anymore. I didn't want to present this image of myself that I hated people not acknowledging. Like, yeah, it was almost as if at every junction people thought I was slaying and that's it, like no struggles in the background. But the truth of the matter was I was slaying because of the struggles. Yes, I'm a competent individual, but I felt like my fuel to a lot of the successes I've had is this desire to be seen, acknowledged, validated by people, as we all have, as is normal. But yeah, I just remember how do I explain it? Realizing that things weren't normal, that despite how hardworking, bubbly, vibrant, generous my family are, there were huge, huge, huge toxic elements of the household or relationships, and that I of course normalized being raised in my household environment and carried forth into my teenagehood and adulthood. The most pressing one is kind of this faith in God that is heavily based on performance and perfection, but upon kind of doing the inner work, I feel like that's come from a place of trauma. I feel like a lot of the reasons why people like jump on to faith or devote themselves so much to it is because it's literally a crutch. Like, without that meaning, nihilism, nothing. And I feel like that sums up my family dynamic. There's been so much like rejection, abandonment, hurt, in kind of several family members, and they haven't dealt with it because it was almost plastered with these teachings of God is good, you know, God gives his strongest battles to his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. Like a lot of spiritual bypassing. And whilst I acknowledge the positive effects of faith, upon reflection, upon looking at the way in which my family relations function, the way that I'm lonely and abandoned right now because I've chosen to divert from the social ideal, like something's not right, because the claim was that love is at the center of our family home. Unity is what matters. But I think it's whoever's the most influential and most powerful that we conform to. And I really struggle with that because I see this dynamic everywhere now. It's in the churches, it's in religious groups, it's influences, it's politics, it's everywhere. There's this desire to be safe and to live and have the best of life. So you'd kind of neglect the needs of other people so that you can hold your own. And yeah, I think it really bothered me because it was very much like a sense of cognitive dissonance. Like, this is what religion, the world, society is teaching me, but this is how things are mapping out. So I feel like I've been so disillusioned, and I've almost lived like this split life. People associating certain actions or opinions with what justice looks like, with what love looks like, and it just is all so convoluted. It's like we've lost the message because we're parading behind banners or Bible scriptures or media campaigns or Instagram posts. And yeah, I've been stripping back, but when you strip back, you take off a veil and you see things for how they are. You don't bow down to this wisdom of ignorance is bliss, or you just apologize to bring peace, or all of these kind of like blanket statements that we invoke that give us a sense of assurance that we're doing the right thing when in fact we're not, we're picking shortcuts. So yeah, I am disappointed that everything I was taught didn't translate into deed. People's egos, particularly my parents, my in-laws, my religious, whatever you want to call them, people, when push came to shove, like y'all showed me that you don't practice what you preach, or even before that, you don't understand what you preach. You are just passing on this coping mechanism of faith onto everyone you meet because you have a savior complex. Yeah, that's the issue. You want to save everyone else because of how inferior you feel. But in the process, you're neglecting yourself, and thus forth, bleeding on everyone around you when you're meant to be creating a safe space, loving them. And it's wild because I did that, you know? I did that myself. I think we all do that at points. We will try and like fit this mold, sacrifice ourselves for the good of society. And it's a scam. It's a scam. I don't believe that one man who was God came down and should bear the responsibilities of all of our sins, because we are conscious beings and we know exactly what we're doing. A lot of the time we tell ourselves that we're being selfless when we're not. We're being selfish because our desire to get to heaven outweighs our desire to accept our neighbour for who they are, what they believe in, and who they want to be. The amount of grief that I feel as I speak, is kind of evident in the fact that I'm laying out a lot of thoughts. I've almost had to like numb myself to uphold this sense of stability that I haven't had for a while. Because I do not bow to narcissistic abuse. I do not tolerate tyranny. And I will not mold myself or trade off my integrity to preserve someone's ego, especially when it is not serving them well. And that's the way I feel about my family. That's the way I feel about anyone who I've cut off, refused to apologise to, where they've demanded it. Because I'm on my own journey. I've got to think for myself. I spent the majority of my life not doing so. Throwing away my autonomy, my sense of self to someone who doesn't exist. Someone who's also been made up to make me feel a sense of hyper-importance. Don't get it twisted, I'm speaking very freely. It's not all gloomy, but it is something I think about and feel all the time. It's so potent. This lack of understanding, this lack of support in such a loud society. I mean, we all claim to believe in diversity and inclusion, but in action, it's just vibes, it's not there. It's often a PR stunt. And this is just in corporate settings. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of saying, oh, I'm always there for you, to our friend, call me whenever, but when they actually follow through, sometimes nowhere to be seen. I've been championing so-called authenticity, but I've been holding back to hold my own. And it took me watching my favourite YouTuber to come and share my heart. I think I don't trust well, because I've been given immense reasons not to. But I also would be very stupid and foolish to overlook those who have put their hand out and are capable of being trustworthy. And I'm so grateful for my friend who told me, you know what, I think you're trusting, but not as trusting as you think. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing pretty flipping well. Eloquent, educated, I turn shit into sugar, but I haven't even begun to process the depths of pain and grief that I have. I can't play this role of Instagram entertainer and influencer and that's it. I can't continue to hold back my biggest burdens so that I don't come to someone's ego. When I started speaking up a lot about a lot of things, I got so much hate. And I think subconsciously, I've internalized it. But why? 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 I think it's got to the point where I've actually been through the worst of the worst. I'm coming to a point where I'm accepting death and the certainty of that at the tender age of 23. And chances are my peers won't catch up to me for another 10 years. I feel like this kind of enlightenment is something we associate with age. Yet, because I've chosen to be audacious and sacrifice the niceties of dancing in mainstream society, and I've been in the wilderness, let's say in a metaphorical sense, but also literally like it's so weird. People say to me, well actually not, people say to me, I'm here, like, do you want support? I can't even begin to like tell them how, because I don't believe it. I fear that there'll be like a surprise clause somewhere that I'll be made to feel guilty for it. But then I'm just deep in, not everyone is toxic like that. There are actually healthy and functional people who are willing to love and serve. They say home is where the heart is. But I believe that we are the heart. Right now, so much bleeding and so much pain is easing out in society. And one of the core causes of that is this shame when it comes to being fucking real. We need to keep things orderly, lest chaos appears. Nevertheless, the chaos is accumulating under the carpet. Now we all want to act shocked when the black sheep finally leaves, or the black sheep finally starts their OnlyFans, or the black sheep becomes an avid, angry atheist. When the black sheep becomes a sexual abuser. I can't afford to sugarcoat it anymore. I can't. I want to dance with my fears. Let them out. Let them teach me the lessons of the world, what I need to do.